Easy, guys. I put my pants on, just like the rest of you, one leg at a time. Except, once my pants are on, I make gold records.
Hey, what's up, VC and everybody out there in YouTube land? Spin Doctor and his Vinyl Mayhem. Woo, it's Kendall. And making this video because I'm going to be up in Connecticut probably when you're watching this. And so I figured I'd go ahead and get this one out of the way. Family and I are on vacation, visiting some family up in Connecticut, so, you know. But I figured I'd get this Vinyl Tag 2025 out of the way for you guys. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, all that good stuff. But yeah, let's get this Vinyl Tag done. So I got my trusty notebook here with the 20 questions. So let's get into it. All right, number 1, best purchase of 2024. Well, if you watched my last video, I did say this was my best purchase. And that would be Vince Gill's Pocket Full of Gold. Like I said, this album, my favorite Vince Gill album, not very easy to find. Picked this up from Riverbend Records. Billy Hurst did a purge of a lot of his doubles and triples of his country albums, and I was so happy to pick this one up. Not one you see very often because it was only available from like, let's see, this was on MTA Records, so the Record Club. So super excited that I was able to get this. Like I said, it's not the most expensive record, but it's just not one you see very often. And so super excited. Love it, love it, love it. Brings back a lot of memories, had it on cassette, all that good stuff. Number 2, 50 years best album of 2020, or 50 years later, the best album of 1974. So again, I did this differently. I picked 2 albums, one from 1974 and one from 1975, because it is the Vinyl Tag 2025. So the best album from 1974, I think I showed this when I did the Vinyl Tag 2024, because there was a question that was very similar. I did Queen, Sheer Heart Attack. Love this album. Really, Queen showing that they could do really hard rock, almost like speed metal at times. Great album. But then 1975, which the year would, you know, with it being 2025, 50 years later would be 1975. I picked my favorite Pink Floyd album, 1975, Wish You Were Here. We'll see if this gets the audiophile treatment this year or a remaster or whatever, but love this album so much. Yeah, you know, everyone picks like Dark Side or, you know, The Wall, and then of course, you know, true hardcore fans pick, you know, like Piper or Umaguma and, you know, all that other stuff. For me, it's Wish You Were Here all the way. All right, number 3, an album that defines a genre. So I gotta say, I picked Curtis Mayfield's Superfly. To me, this defines funk and blaxploitation. Most definitely. There's not a bad song on this. The movie itself may not be that great, but the album is spot on. So good, with Push Your Man, Freddy's Dead, and of course the actual title track, Superfly. Just so good. Some real down and funky stuff. Love this. Definitely, when you think of funk music, and again, blaxploitation, this is, boom, this is it right here, Superfly. And to me, this kind of, you know, there's so many movies and soundtracks that really followed after this. And there may have been some before, but none were like this, for sure. Shaft, obviously, you know, but definitely gotta be Superfly. Best band from your home country. All right, so this one I struggled with because I live here in the US of A, of course. And I know just a lot of people that lived in the US were picking bands from their home state. Well, I live in North Carolina, and I'll be honest with you, North Carolina has not produced a lot of great bands in my opinion. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. Well, then I was like, well, I was born in Washington, lived there when I was really young, but I'm like, I'm not gonna go that route because everyone that's from Washington is gonna be picking bands like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Heart. So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I was like, well, U.S. I mean, a lot of great bands. I could go with the Beach Boys. I could go with CCR. I could go with the Doors. I could go with Eagles. Then I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make this fun. And so I went with Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. That's right. I mean, these guys can do it all. They can play funk, they can play disco, they can play rock, they can play country. They can do it all. Everyone loves Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem. So by far, this is the best band to come out of the United States. I mean, so yeah, gotta love Dr. Teeth and Animal, one of the craziest, best drummers of all time. You know, I mean, and they've got it all. They've got a saxophone player, they've got a guitar player, bass player, piano player, drummer. I mean, they got a trumpet player. They got it all. Best band, definitely, to come out of the United States. So, yeah. All right. An artist you miss dearly. Well, that for me is easy. I miss Freddie Mercury. Now, granted, he died when I was very young. I never got a chance to see him live. I've, seen tons of live videos, and stuff. Queen, one of my all-time favorite bands. I would have loved to have seen them live in my lifetime. And Freddie, just such the ultimate showman. This is a compilation that came out a few years ago called Never Boring, and that was definitely true of Freddie Mercury. So I miss him dearly. Would have loved to have seen what he would have done had he not gotten sick and passed away, because there would have been so much more music, I think, for Queen to put out and for him to do. So yeah, definitely miss him dearly. Best live album in your collection, man. I could have gone so many different ways with this. I mulled through this one pretty hard, actually, but ultimately I had to go with this one, and that's Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison. Such an iconic live album, just because the start of it, hello, I'm Johnny Cash, going into Folsom Prison Blues, and then just some of the iconic songs that came afterwards. The fact that he's playing at a prison, and I know that this show, they had to stop it a few times because the prisoners were getting rowdy. It's Columbia 2i. It's still in the shrink even. Just so cool. The Carter family was with them. They did do some gospel songs, but then he did stuff like Cocaine Blues too. So it was very iconic, very, very cool. Your partner dumped you, and what are you gonna play? So this one, I struggled with this one too, and the first thing that came to my mind was, well, not the first thing, but I ultimately went to this album because I always think of, in like the 2000s, you always heard this song on TV shows when there was like a serious scene between a couple and they were like breaking up or something, and that's Band of Horses. This is the album, Everything All the Time, and the song on here is The Funeral. That song was played so much on so many TV shows, and so I just automatically went with that, because it just, watch any show from the 2000s, and whenever there was some kind of breakup scene or something, that song was almost always played. So yeah, Band of Horses. Best sounding drums. Wait, hold on. Yeah, best sounding drums on an album. This is another hard one. I could have picked any, like Zeppelin, Van Halen, anything like that, just with an iconic drummer. Rush, obviously. But I went this route, and I went Cream, Wheels of Fire. Ginger Baker, phenomenal drum player, amazing. A lot of people say that Cream was another one of those bands that was very influential in heavy metal, of course. And I just think of the song, matter of fact, it's the first song on side one. Yeah. White Room. Just that whole, you know, boom, I mean, just that whole drum intro. I mean, Ginger was a very unique drum player. I mean, and he's played on a lot of jazz. I mean, he was very much a jazz drummer in a rock band. Very, very different styling, and it worked so very, very well. And his drumming is just spot on, amazing, and sounds so good on every Cream album, in my opinion. But I just always think of White Room and just that drumming, so good. So I had to go with that one. Artist in more than one band. Okay, so this one, I just recently saw this guy, and he played songs from all these bands, and that would be Montrose. Well, that would be Sammy Hagar. He started off in Montrose. He's right here. This is the Montrose self-titled album, and then he later on went solo as himself, Sammy Hagar. Yep, this is Sammy Hagar album. So this wasn't his first album, but it was his self-titled album. And then, of course, he later on joined Van Halen. Here he is right here, too. And, you know, just so good. Sammy has done so much. He's still out there playing into his late 70s and still sounding absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen Sammy doing his tour right now, doing all that Van Halen stuff, you missed out. He's doing a residency in Vegas now, so yeah, very good. Okay, Beatles, Stones. Yeah. Guys, that question to me gets old, and I can't answer it because it changes from day to day. One day I may prefer the Beatles, one day I may prefer the Stones. And in my collection, I probably own the same amount of Beatles albums as I do Stones albums. You know, Beatles, I never got to see live, obviously. The Stones, I did get to see live. You know, but I did see Paul McCartney, so that was cool. But I can't answer that. You know, today it could be the Stones, tomorrow it could be the Beatles, or vice versa. So I'm not really going to answer that one. They're both amazing, and they both have done amazing things for music, and I love them both. Next we have okay, you find a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? Cheech and Chong, Up in Smoke. Because, I mean, let's face it, they were smoking tons of it when they made this movie and writing the songs for this movie. And maybe I'll find it funnier if I'm smoking it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've never smoked weed in my life. I've never drank any alcohol in my life. I'm clean cut, or whatever that is. I'm, straight laced, whatever it is. But yeah, it would be this. And if I had an original, it would still have the papers in it too. So, but anyway, yeah. So, all right. 80s album you still listen to? Oh man, yes. I love this album. It's amazing. The Outfield, Play Deep, 1985. This is such a great album. Such a great album. I mean, it's so much more than Your Love. I mean, when I think of all the great songs that are on this album, so good. Say It Isn't So, I Don't Need Her, Every Time You Cry, Mystery Man, All the Love, Taking My Chances. Oh, so good. This band, why they never got bigger than Your Love, I do not know. This album, though, so great. I listen to it all the time. So good. Political Stance soured you. So, I mean, it didn't sour me per se, but I don't listen to newer music by this band after they released the album American Idiot. And so I'm talking about Green Day. Everything before American Idiot I love, but they yes, punk rock is very political, and I get that. but I just kind of, I just, I don't know. It just got so they got so political in everything they did, whether it was their songs or their concerts and everything. And I just like, just play the music, man. Just play the music. So that just kind of got really annoying. Favorite record label. Honestly, my favorite record label is probably the Columbia label, because it's the change that it's had over the years with the 2i, the 6i, and just because so many great bands have been on it over the years. You know, from old country, Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel. I mean, just tons of great artists have been on it and still are, from, you know, for so many years. So yeah, I would say it's Columbia. Run of 3 great singles. I don't have the actual singles. I've just now started really getting into like 7-inch singles and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go with this album to show them, and that would be Michael Jackson's Bad. I believe this album spawned 5 #1 hits. I don't remember the exact order, but I believe it was like The Way You Make Me Feel, Bad, Man in the Mirror, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, and Dirty Diana, I think were the 5. I could be wrong. Smooth Criminal may have been in there. But just the fact that he was just spurring out so many #1 hits, singles from this thing. I mean, everyone always talks about Thriller, and don't get me wrong, I love Thriller. But people need to remember Off the Wall, amazing, and Bad, absolutely amazing. You know, so yeah, great singles, great albums from a great artist that, you know, you still don't have around, and it's sad. So just remember that. RSD purchase you actually listened to. So this actually came out in April this past year, and I still listen, and I've listened to it a lot. And it's the Tesla Reel to Reel, and hopefully Volume 2 is coming out this coming April. But man, this was their covers album, and it's so great. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're talking covers of Space Truckin', Bad Reputation, Thank You, I Got a Feeling, Ball of Confusion, Bell Bottom Blues, Honky Tonk Woman, Dear Mr. Fantasy. Oh my, I mean, and there's more, but just so good. I love Tesla, and these covers are amazing. And so I really hope they do. I mean, I've read and heard they're going to do Volume 2. I'm guessing it's going to be in April. I was hoping it was going to be in Black Friday, but it was not. But yeah, I listen to this all the time. All the time. Probably my favorite purchase of the April RSD this past year. So yeah, definitely. So yeah. Next question. Best 3 lines in a song. As soon as I read this question, this is the song that popped into my mind. And I was like, yep, this is going to be it. Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown. And it's the first 3 songs, it's the first 3 lines of the song. I can see her lying there in her satin dress, in a room where you do things that you don't confess. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stairs. Just the the picture that comes to your head with those lines. It just, the imagery is so good of what that means and what you can picture in your head of, ooh, what is this person doing? What is it? So yeah, so good. Love that. Love that song. Definitely my favorite Gordon Lightfoot song. But yeah, such a good 3 lines. Next, an album I never tire of. It's easy. It's Boston, self-titled. I mean, every song on here is a banger. Every song on here is a hit. This might as well be a greatest hits album. I mean, honestly, it's perfect. It's a perfect album. And then the last question is favorite VC channel. I got tons of favorites. So I'm just going to shout out a few. Going to shout out first my good buddy Chance, concert buddy. He's been great to me this year. Got to I got to visit with him when he came down for Noble Records 5th anniversary. Got to go record digging with him. He sent me some VCLT this year. I've sent him some back as well. We correspond a lot, and I appreciate him. Steve Carlson, love Steve. He always comments on my channel or on my videos, and I appreciate it. He's one of the nicest guys in the world. Appreciate him. JC, the flip side, good dude. Comments on a lot of my videos, and I appreciate him. We like a lot of the same stuff when it comes to like soundtracks, hype stickers, the 80s rock and metal. He's just a good dude. Mr. Hall of Fame, love his channel. Man, there's so many that I could mention. But those are just a few. So anyway, guys, that's the Vinyl Tag 2025. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up, like, all that good stuff. And of course, please don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you down the road. Bye.